executive session.
I move that we adopt the resolution authorizing the mayor to execute the affidavit stating that the subject matter of the closed portion of the council meeting was within the exceptions provided by OCGA 50-14-4B.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Entertaining a motion to deny the Raymond Jones claims as presented. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we deny the Raymond James claim as
Raymond
submitted.
Jones, yeah.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. All right, and with that, we,
Before we adjourn, I'm sorry, there was an item on the agenda, item H, new business.
yes.
And normally, I think that you call for a motion, there's a motion seconded, there's time for discussion. You did not allow us time for discussion.
Oh.
There was something that I wanted to mention.
Absolutely, I apologize. We move into discussion.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to thank Councilman Berta for his work in getting this item put on the agenda and the work that the city did in helping him do that. So I just wanted to make that clear and thank him for his work on that.
Absolutely, and thanks to all of you for your input. Thanks to the city staff and to all of the input we got throughout the many months that we've been talking about this.
Mr. Mayor, if we
Yes.
could, I know we talked about doing a round robin before we just, finish
absolutely.
these. If we could, I know you've been having different ministers from around the city and the county coming in. If you could either put it here or verbally, their name and what church they're associated with, I would appreciate it, because I don't know everybody there is.
Absolutely, yeah, and I believe we'll add that to the record and make sure that that's part of it.
Thank you.
All right, here, any other comments from council?
And for the record, that was Pastor Myron Dees.
With what church?
Summerhill, right?
No,
Greater Mount
that's
Zion.
Greater Mount
Right on the
Zion.
side.
All right, thank you.
Any further comments? Hearing none, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? With that, we'll take 10 before our working session. 3:15 if we could. Yeah. Call this work session to order. Brief note, and we'll strike the invocation from that in the future, but brief note, this is not a public hearing. This is for the elucidation of the council and staff. And so if you do have something you want to say about this in a public hearing, we're going to have one at our next meeting regarding this item. But for today, we're just going to be kind of going back and forth with council and staff, as well as questions for the applicant. So with that, we move into work session item A, RZ 2025-09, a request to rezone 6.44-ish acres on First Avenue and 4th Streets from ILT and RUI to MXD. Applicant is Imperium Development LLC, as represented by Melissa D. Griffiths, attorney at law. You have the floor.
Hi, good afternoon. Dean Smith with the Plan Department. As you mentioned, this is just a work session to discuss this project a little bit more. Some of the things that the Planning Commission looked at in January have changed. This afternoon, I was recently provided with an updated concept plan. It does show a small decrease in the number of apartment units from 259 units to 252 units. The same number of townhomes are being proposed, with 8 townhomes on 4th Street. And there is an increase in the proposed commercial space, and it looks like from the concept plans that I received, it ranges between 11,200 square feet to 11,350 square feet of commercial space as part of this proposed mixed-use development. Some of the things that we did take a look at, it looks like some of the apartment sizes may have changed, which the applicant may can discuss with this concept plan. Like I said, this is all kind of new. Like at noon it came in, so we haven't had a chance to fully investigate this, vet it. Mike Furbish, city landscape architect, hasn't looked at any preliminary tree management plan that may be different from what he looked at before. We do have a response from their traffic engineer to Mr. Clark's questions that were presented at the Planning Commission in January, where he wanted some additional intersections studied. Mr. Clark did answer me earlier that he was, I think, okay with the report that you received from Mr. Wilburn. Is that correct, Mr. Clark? So he's satisfied with that. But as mentioned, you're looking at a little over 300 residential units, all said and done, 252 plus the 8, well, not that, well, I guess 260. And then the 11,000 of commercial. Back in January, the Planning Commission did conduct a public hearing. At the conclusion of that hearing, they did vote unanimously to recommend denial of this particular rezoning petition. But I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have. And of course, the applicant is here to answer any questions and can flesh out more of the changes they have made since the Planning Commission last heard it.
So the total number of units you said is 260, including the townhouses?
Well, 252, yes, 252 apartments plus the 8 townhomes.
Okay. And could you repeat it? The retail, how has that changed?
They showed originally that was between 4,600 to 7,700 was a number we had back in January. There was some floating back and forth, and then the recent concept plan I looked at earlier this afternoon, one showed 11,350 square feet of commercial, and another site plan showed 11,200 square feet of commercial. Roughly 4.4% of the total square footage of the project.
And Mr. Clark, could you speak to the traffic study that you did, clarify what some of your concerns were, what some of the clarifying questions were?
It's actually better for me to clarify Dean's statement.
Okay.
I received the updated traffic study where I had asked them to look at additional intersections, and he did look at the additional intersections. And I asked him to be a little more descriptive in what's not normally talked about in traffic, but it seems to be the way you all look at it, is how much can a road handle. Typically, we look at what the delay is at an intersection, but then we start talking in terms of number of vehicles, and so he addressed that as well, and I haven't really studied. He answered my questions, but I haven't confirmed the answers.
So just to get some clarity and kind of level set with this, we've had these changes, and it sounds like we've gotten some plans across a little bit late today. What do we have prepared and studied, and what do we not have kind of prepared and studied at this point?
For him?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Yeah, well,
yeah.
what you have prepared and studied is what was presented to the Planning Commission back in January. Okay. The traffic response from the engineer came in last evening at 9:55. and it was provided to Mr. Clark this morning.
I wasn't here at 9.
We weren't here yet. So that hasn't been, he did give a quick review of it, and as he mentioned, was satisfied with the answer, but hasn't really fully studied it based on the previous review from the Planning Commission meeting in January. So what is on the agenda today and what was in the published agenda is what the Planning Commission looked at and what we have reviewed as staff to point. Now, some of the other changes came in about 12 o'clock this afternoon, which included the reduction in number of apartments, the increase in square footage of commercial. That has not been fully reviewed by anyone other than myself and a few others, but we have not sent that out to see if there's going to be any changes to provide what the police department may say, what the fire department may say, what the school system may say in terms of their other report when they responded to the request to provide service for this particular rezoning petition.
So do we expect them to have answers on those items in the next week before our
We
next
should be able to
agendas?
get answers prior to the public hearing, March 24th.
Can we get them prior to the publication of the agenda?
Yes, we should be able to. Hopefully, ideally, we will send those out either this afternoon or tomorrow morning, and we'll make them aware, here's what you previously said, here's the updated concept plan. Is there any change in what you provided to us earlier? And then hopefully we'll have answers prior to the 17th when that agenda will get, information will be submitted to the city clerk for the consideration of publication.
Okay, so can we see the changes? I mean,
I'll let the applicant discuss those.
okay,
They've got some information they presented to Ms. Shea. She has it, and I'll let them walk through the changes they presented to us earlier this afternoon.
okay.
So if the applicant could approach to answer some of those questions?
I'll start. I mean, this has been an iterative process, and
Oh, and could you give your name for the record, please?
Greg Power, Imperium Development. This has been an iterative process. We've had great conversations with council, with mayor, and we've had great, healthy tension with the neighborhood, I would put it. And this is our effort. Yes, there's a lot of changes, but this is our effort to try and come up with a workable solution. And honestly, we hope there's more changes that come out of this meeting. And we will incorporate those changes, and we will get them back to you as quickly as we can. This is the spirit of, we are trying to work with everyone. We can't be all things to everyone, but we are trying to create a project that the council can support, that the neighborhood can get behind, and ultimately that can get approved. So I apologize that, you're getting things at 9 o'clock last night, but we met with the neighborhood just 4 business days ago, and we're still trying to work and incorporate some of those comments. But yes, the majority of, just a kind of a high-level summary of the plans, the largest thing is we reduced 8 units off the ground floor, increasing our commercial space, so that 75% of the ground floor is commercial space, which is made up of the leasing center and office of the apartment, which is 6,000 square feet, 11,000 square feet of retail, and 5,000 square feet of residential. So while the comment was made only 4% of the total project is retail, that's a little misleading because 75% of the ground floor is indeed commercial space. The other thing we've done is we've tried to implement some traffic calming measures. Speed bumps along First Avenue, raised intersections. We have our civil engineer here. And yes, Vern did try to respond to your report. The trail, trying to create a trailhead and trying to create more of green space as we get back towards 2nd Avenue. Really enhancing that. That's one thing we did hear from the neighborhood. And having a trailhead there, we would think would be an added benefit. So the elevations have changed significantly. We are trying to be unapologetically downtown. Downtown is the amenity. We want to be an extension of downtown. People are living here to create they want to live here so they can walk downtown. So we've tried to promote the walkability, promote the the kind of the pedestrian-friendly environment, create village retail, create a destination for the community.
Great.
Any changes you get on? Oh.
And just so, just to speak to my question, I think some of the questions that the council and staff may have. As you walk, could you walk us through some of like what the specific changes are as you've iterated on the plan and kind of where that's come from when you walk through this?
Sure.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So if you look at the north building, where you have the orange, that was the only retail originally in the project. Now, if you look at the south building, what we're calling Main Street as you enter the project, we have flanked retail on both sides to create this village retail feel. So that entire orange section on the southern building was residential before, and now it is all retail. What we're trying to do is have a retail bridge from the park to the green space at the trailhead. Subsequently, increasing retail has decreased the amount of units. We have kept the parking count the same. We have roughly 400 parking spaces. We have 350 bedrooms. So that's one parking space per bedroom plus 50 parking spaces to accommodate visitors and retail. And that is just contained in our project. That's not including the on-street parking that we're creating on First Avenue.
And how many on-street parking spots would you anticipate on First Avenue?
Nine? Yeah, about 8.
Historically, or do you have any trends on how many residents you tend to have per bedroom in your units?
Yes. Really, the rule of thumb is about 1.2. So we think about 385 residents over 260 units.
So can I ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
With that number, 385 people, assuming probably most of those are adults, some driving, say 385 cars, there's 400 parking spots, and that leaves about 15 spots for the commercial that you mentioned. Is that adequate for your proposed commercial and what you intend to try to get there?
We do believe it is. Now, first of all, an apartment's never full, so we're never at 100%, 90%. And yes, that was 350 or 385 individuals. That does account for children, young teens. So we do believe the 350 bedrooms, the 400 cars is more than enough to accommodate the retail and residents.
Maybe I just overlooked it. What were your amenities that would be a draw for families with children?
Well, the biggest draw is downtown.
Well, yeah, but kids generally like play areas and that kind of stuff.
The park across the street would be the largest
Yeah.
amenity.
But there's no internal park. There's no internal.
Then you have an
play areas.
internal green space to the left of the retail on the west side of the page. In addition to that, self-contained within the apartments, you have a pool, you have a clubhouse, you have a fitness, you have a vintage arcade, you have a pet wash, you have a DIY workshop. So between the two green spaces, the self-contained amenities, the retail itself is an amenity from the retail tenants that our retail partner is tenanting, everything from a bike shop to a bakery to an ice cream. And then the biggest amenity is Newnan.
Mm-hmm. Well, I agree. Newnan is definitely a great amenity, but the taxpayers across the city can't be subsidizing the recreation of this development. The other part is, did y'all bring any, you said a lot of the
I will say we
elevations
are
have
increasing your
changed.
tax base by a little over $580,000.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the percentage that comes to the city is minimal. You said a lot of changes to the elevations. Did you bring any elevations, or are there any for handouts, anything like that for us to look at?
This is the updated rendering on the screen right here. Significantly, what we heard from the neighborhood, what we heard from council is, we don't want to look like a typical multifamily building. We needed much more brick. We wanted vertical architecture. We wanted variation from the retail to the residential. And so what we have charged our architect and our design professionals is to really, if you look at that vertical architecture, it's what you see more downtown, individual buildings, as opposed to kind of your horizontal, which is brick on the ground floor and lap siding. We've tried to pick up on historic Newnan with the theater building and the red brick right across the street from the railroad. Again, we think we're moving in the right direction, and we're happy to receive feedback from this rendering, on this rendering.
Could I ask one more question for anybody else? Just, what is Imperium's sales and hold record and your strategies for this development as compared to other developments
So,
that you do? Like, how do you hold on? How long do you hold on to these developments?
so since the inception of the platform in 2021, we have 4 active developments, and we own every one we've started, we still own.
So you've not sold any at all?
No.
I have a question.
We're actively refinancing 2 from our construction loan to permanent. But that's,
Councilman Thompson.
Yep, thank you. What's the height of the parking deck?
2 stories.
Okay,
So roughly, we'll call it 21 feet above ground.
okay, cool. And-
Now, the grade as you go up Second Street
Yeah,
raises, so 21 feet at the most exposed,
okay,
but then as you get to the top, where the railroad and Second Street cross, it's flat.
okay,
So I would say, you have an average elevation of about 12 feet,
okay.
working with the grade.
So you come in off Second, basically flat. and then
Yes,
you go
where
down this
the,
hill to the first floor.
where the Second Street entrance is.
Gotcha. What is that deck going to look like? Is it going to be bricked up and doesn't look like a deck, or is it going to look like a deck?
It's going to be screened.
Okay.
Do we have
Do you have any pictures of that?
here? In the original conceptual package that we submitted back in January, we did submit a picture of the parking deck, which shows heavily landscaped screens with vines growing up on it. Even though it's a parking deck, it's much prettier what's existing there now.
Is the highest, look, that first elevation you had up, kind of when you went before your question there, Mr. Thompson?
done. Thank you.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you. Are you proposing now a 5-story building? I saw that one there, like on the left side, it looks like a 5-story building. Is that the proposal there?
It's a 4-story build. On the right-hand side, it's a 4-story building, but it's a 4-story building with a basement. So that retail, in order to get the double height space, it reads more like 5 stories.
Okay, but I'm saying on the left there, it looks like a 5-story.
It's a 4-story building with a basement. The retail is double height, so it reads like a 5-story, but it's a
Gotcha, okay.
4-story building with a basement.
Okay. This would probably be a question for staff, probably specifically the fire department. Do we have the apparatus down at this fire station to be able to facilitate like fires and stuff for that tall of a building? Okay, thank you.
So, real quick question for you. I know that you've got a development in Swanee, correct? Is that currently operational, or is that in production?
No, the 2 projects that I developed in Swanee, are active and operational, and we're a big success. Honestly, so much so that we developed Phase 1, and the city gave us zoning for a Phase 2. And that's the same story that we did in Gainesville.
Can I ask a question? You said it was a huge success. How do you define success?
Well, full occupancy, 100% leased retail, great community involvement, and I think when you walk around the town and you talk to council and you talk to constituents in the area, everyone kind of says this is a great project.
And could you define full occupancy real quick?
92% on the residential and 100% on the retail.
Right, thank you. Have you seen any decline in demand or any issues with occupancy at any of your projects? Because I believe, I've been told, and I can't confirm this right now, but that there's some, promotions going on at least one of your, I believe the Cartersville or Gainesville, one of those apartment buildings. So if you could speak to that.
Sure. Have we seen a decline in demand? No. Have we seen seasonal velocity change? Absolutely. The Atlanta metro area, it was a really tough winter. And we did not see the velocity that we had hoped to see. Cartersville is stabilized. So stabilized as defined by, I think it's 93.5%. Our deals in Oakwood and in Swanee are in lease up. We have another deal in Swanee. And our deal in LaGrange is stabilized. Yes, we are offering concessions in certain market, which is 1 month free, ranging from 1 month to 2 months, but I would say that's pretty standard across the board for the Atlanta market. Honestly, just the multifamily market in general.
Thank you.
Could you put that overhead again up, that slide you had, that one?
This one?
Yeah, thank you. I just some technical type questions. All the roads, all the hardtop will be maintained by the company? You're not asking for any city, anything like that, no city roads, correct?
No, sir.
And that's enough turnaround and everything like that for, fire apparatus and large equipment?
Yes, sir.
And then,
And I have our civil engineer here if you'd like to ask specific turnaround radiuses or anything.
no, that's fine. It should be, if it's done according to standards, it should be adequate. And I don't see anywhere for like stormwater, like am I missing that on there somewhere? Usually there's a stormwater, detention, retention pond or something. What's your, because that's a lot of hard top there.
Kenwood with PEC. I don't know if there's a little pointer on here that I can, like a fancy, there is one. This one. Okay, cool. So this right here, so the way that we're kind of visualizing this when you're looking at that coming down the street, and you come across the park, this is the multi-use trail. It runs right in front of this. The 10 or I can't remember if it's a 10 or 12 foot wide, but then it loops. And so this entire green space here is an underground stormwater system.
Okay.
And so it'd be vaults, basically concrete vaults, so that can last, 100 years plus. But that trail runs right over it. And so that's an important part of this because there's a existing pipe there and we're trying to maintain that existing stream.
Okay, makes sense. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
The underground, the piped part of the stream that starts over on First Avenue Park, or actually up beyond the railroad bridge, and then it traverses under First Avenue. It's piped for a brief period under the current conditions, and then it outfalls into an open stream and then, proceeds off the property. Are you forecasting the need to do any remediation on that existing, I don't even know, that's a culvert, but
Sure.
you got to do any work on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So great question. It's a disaster. Like, it is not the best situation. So we definitely have a huge budget to repair this. So where you're kind of describing is right on the I feel like right in this area, the 72-inch, and right now it's CMP. I've crawled up in it. Didn't advise myself to do that, but we did it anyway. And so it was not in the best condition, and so you got some deteriorating places. And so we're going to pick it up at that location in here, in this location, and we'll bring a new a new concrete pipe, and then discharge it back into the creek, and then leave that section open. The issue when you go out there today is that entire kind of stream. There is no stream buffer. It's all like kudzued in, and so when we crawled down in there, it's all exposed, and so it keeps getting sediment. So what we would aim to do is to clean all that up on the upper area, make the park area with the trail, and then down in the creek, kind of revitalize the creek, live stake it, and start growing vegetation down there. But you're exactly right. We'd have to replace that whole pipe. It's a problem.
And in all that process, the redoing the piping, that's going to be nationwide permitting with Army Corps.
That's right.
The redoing the stream restoration, that's going to be EPD stream
That's
buffer.
right.
So not to be answered in this moment, but would you consider, if those environmental permits were denied, that the rezoning be reverted back to if this were to go forward with the rezoning and those environmental permits are denied, which would prevent probably this from moving forward, would that allow the rezoning to revert back to prior to the rezoning? So it's just a question, because we don't want to, if we vote to rezone it, you move forward, Army Corps denies your permit, EPD denies your permit, you can't move forward with this, and it's not a safe place to have parking and people walking and cars going across it, then now we're with a rezoned property that can't be used. So I'm just a concern. It's a concern of mine that,
Sure.
that's all out of all our control.
Sure. I
whether
mean,
the
I
Corps
can tell you, I've
approves that.
never working on these mixed use all the time, every jurisdiction in the state. I have not seen one. We've already run the calcs, and it is a nationwide. It's not an individual permit. The EPD would love for us to. It is impaired right now. It is an issue stream. The pipe is an issue, and so I don't see why, because they would be kind of going against their own policies to not approve something like this, where you can improve it and actually have a buffer for the future in the waterways. So I don't know why it wouldn't be, because it would be detrimental to that whole site.
Well, you bring up something that I've been thinking about anyway, which is just in general for us, that once something's zoned, that we put a time limit on it and not just let it sit there forever, zoned whatever it was, so that we can make sure that we have projects that are moving along. That was going to be one of my questions, is regardless of what EPD does and all that other stuff, is to look at a time limit if this were to pass this body on leaving it zoned.
It's a question for staff. Considering the improvements that seem to be needed here, is that something that we have considered from a city perspective, or something we've budgeted out from a city perspective for some of these improvements or
Mayor,
renovations?
if I may,
that
these
they're
are on
speaking
private
to?
property. I don't think that's not a city pipe.
Okay. So, well, and in terms of some of the road improvements and things that would need to be over there, is that something we've looked into from a traffic perspective, any of that?
We've talked about the intersection and the radiuses of 4th Street with First Avenue and maybe trying to make them better. Otherwise, I think the roads are probably adequately wide, wide enough now. They've all been recently resurfaced, and we would not, they would not tear anything up that we would make them put it back.
So we're not looking at an area where we're going to need to be investing a significant amount of money whether or not this goes in?
I think that's a correct statement.
Okay,
yes.
just want to make sure.
I would like to know, just right off the top of your head, do you know the net increase or decrease of impervious?
It is, so definitely, do we have that slide in here? That I have my existing conditions? It's kind of here. So if you're looking at it from where it is, everywhere except kind of the stream in here is paved. And so from the way we're looking at it today, from here and including the houses, you're going to be pretty similar, if not slightly decreased, because it's what the kudzu is hiding is what you can't see. There's like all the kind of the concrete in that little kudzu area that's there.
So you believe it's not not a decrease.
Oh, yes, no, for sure, for sure. Yeah, because, and it's deceiving too, because you have the courtyard area of the multifamily, all that is green space with the pool. You also have the landscaping up against the building, and so when you count all of that, it really starts adding up. As well as even for the parallel parking, we have the bulbs for the trees that we have to provide in that landscape strip and everything.
That did bring up one more regarding the roads. They did mention speed tables and speed bumps, and in Newnan, we've never permitted those before. And so that would be a serious change for us, and the primary reason is that vertical deflection for speed control is prohibited in the International Fire Code, and GDOT won't give us funding for streets that have those type of facilities on them. So we would have to be very carefully thinking through that. And
So, do we have any features like that anywhere in the city?
no.
No, sir.
Okay.
Is that for the whole street, or is it
Well,
just that segment?
They just threw that out, and I haven't seen what that probably came from the neighborhood group. That may be of something they wanted you to look at, but there's other ways to manage speed than vertical deflection. So
Right.
If that's what we need to do, we can look at the alternatives rather than
That's right.
that.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a couple of, kind of exactly what he's saying. There's a lot of different ways to do it. We wanted to throw out a couple of different ideas. Really, one of the driving forces is to transfer pedestrians across, the trail safely. And so, when you do the raised ones, it has a long lead time, the tabletop, because this is a 10-foot, is it 10 or 12? Is it 10?
It's 10 or
Okay.
12.
Okay. We have the room for either one, I just couldn't remember, but then having it wide enough, and, kind of, I think the idea was so that it would be kind of a deterrent for speed, but it's also why we looked at the parallel parking. A lot of times you can bring landscaping closer, you can have hawk signals as part of, that crossing where you come up and you hit a button and there's, some flashing. There's a lot of different ways that you can, it's visual. You just want, when people run down the street, what we want to do is, we want it, like Greg said, we want it to feel like you're entering into downtown, a very special place, and that trail to be special. So we want it to be visually like, oh, I'm slowing down, because I'm starting to see something different. It's a change. And so that's what really we're trying to get across. And so we could definitely work with the city in a couple of different capacities for how to achieve that.
Ordinarily, that would be the RRFB for us with the push buttons and the flashing.
Right.
Right, that's typical at our trail crossings.
Yeah.
So people would be used to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mr. Carr, this might be a question for you, or is a traffic question. What is the proposed increase of traffic at the First Avenue and LaGrange Street intersection?
I can't answer that without having the report in front of me, I'm sorry. I don't know if you.
Was there a number for that before the, was there a previous study before this change?
We can answer that, please.
Yeah, thank you.
They printed me the whole
I
study.
think you're in the backup data.
I'm trying to get to the little analysis that he had on here. This is the trip distribution, 33 AM.
You said
And-
LaGrange Street and First Avenue?
Yeah.
This is the distribution,
Let's see, you know which one that is right down here.
future conditions. Future condition, existing traffic, and then we'll go to proposed.
I can't see the numbers.
So 15 turning left on LaGrange and First, is that what we're looking
Yes.
for?
Yep.
So you basically have 15 to 19 in this condition. You assign one. It's really, there's an additional one turning left on LaGrange, an additional 4 within the peak after going straight on LaGrange. So they're not substantial. They're probably within a couple of percent of just within that peak hour kind of increasing, because there are people heading in different directions. You can go north as well through the city.
Have you had any discussions with particularly bridging the gap and First Methodist there, where the traffic backs up in almost non-peak hours, particularly with bridging the gap in terms of some of the traffic loads over there?
Have you guys had? I don't think, it's definitely, we just can take that note now, and that's definitely something we can look at.
Yeah, so bridging the gap has people coming through for the food bank, which has caused they've already got some issues with traffic over there. And same over on, you have the First Methodist preschool that is pickup and drop-off times, which aren't exactly normal peak hours, has significant backup, which while not exactly at that intersection, causes some problems around the area. So
And so,
flagging that for
just
your
to make
review.
sure I want to make sure we're understanding, that's coming west to east coming toward LaGrange Street?
No.
No, we're talking about going north on First Avenue.
Yeah, so going north on First Avenue is where that, I think, would cause the most issues.
On the north side of the track?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to be sure. And then that would, right, everybody's trying to get over in different ways, or going north or getting over toward LaGrange. Okay.
If this is an advertised trailhead for the link, will there be specified parking for that? Because if someone's going to, come and park there, I mean, a trailhead is, one, it's where people can access it and start on the trail. But I think a lot of people view a trailhead as a place where you could drive your car, park there, and begin your journey on a trail.
Mm-hmm.
So in the 50 spaces on site, 8 spaces on First Avenue, are any of those going to be dedicated to trailhead parking? Because someone's probably going to spend a little more time on the link than shopping in the commercial store.
Sure,
So how does that
sure.
impact your parking flow if you have 40 people parked for 3 hours on the link?
Yeah, I mean, I can't, typically, most people are kind of riding to them. I mean, definitely people are coming and parking. I imagine some people will park in the park to get there. It's an interesting question. I was literally in Alpharetta 2 days ago, and we were talking about the Alpha Loop and dedicated spaces, like how to do it, because sometimes it's off-peak. A lot of times, I see this having some, restaurant, probably food, and then sometimes the trail can be off of those times. And so I definitely think the parallel spots, whether you sign them or you paint them on the ground, this is what we were kind of talking about with that one, could be done in that fashion. Also, the interior spaces, you just have to monitor how many you want to give to that. Whether it's like, you definitely want to say every retail space, because the retailers, would have issue with that. But you definitely can have some that are dedicated for the link trail. And then you just kind of have to monitor it. But
We would absolutely support making some dedicated spaces for the trailhead, not only within our development, or putting some hour restrictions on it.
yeah, that's what you typically see. Because a lot of times in the evening, when the trail needs to be closing, then, they need to be opened back up and make sure people don't leave cars. Hopefully people will trek there or either bike there to be able to get on it. The other thing too, just going back on the reversionary clause you mentioned, I have seen those. My only comment would be if that's something you guys are looking at, just make sure it's long enough. There's a lot of permitting that, to be done on different places, and so just making sure it's long enough. I typically see those somewhere between like 2 to 3 years on reversionary. If nothing happens, then they come back. But I just wanted to throw that out there. So it's not like 1 year, because, we still could be permitting with all the different jurisdictions.
Speaking of permitting, I don't know what all's been used, that facility's been used for over the decades and decades it's been there. Is there any hazmat, or is there no brownfield? There's nothing like that there? Or has there been any testing to ensure there's nothing there? Or,
I've gone through your phase. Yeah, we've already conducted all the environmental, and it's clean. It's a clean facility.
I have a
Or does
question.
Sorry,
Oh,
I was
no,
going
you
to
go ahead.
ask, more than a phase one, which
Well,
ones have y'all done?
So in the deeper environment, we went into phase 1, into phase 2, but there's nothing in the ground. It's just like asbestos that you would see as part of the building. So when we would go into, if approved, we would go into the demolition. They would have to go in and do the asbestos remediation, and then they would be clear to kind of do the larger demo part of it. So we'd have to be specialized in the beginning and then demo.
Okay, so now that you've reduced the number of apartments by 7, and added 4,000 square feet of retail space, do you think that the area residents are going to be less opposed?
I know Greg and them just had a meeting. Let me get him to answer kind of.
I think we're working in the right direction. I think the neighborhood has stated they would like to see density reduced more, and we are trying to strike that balance. But we heard less units, we heard more retail, and that's the direction we're moving in.
Can I see the site plan again? Can you pull that back up?
We've really tried to maximize the amount of Main Street. As you come down First Avenue, those units at the corner of the railroad track are actually kind of sit below grade, so that it's not really conducive for retail. It levels out as you hit the north building, as you make the right-hand turn in our Main Street. So we feel like we've maximized every ground floor street facing for commercial and retail space.
I got a question about the townhomes at the bottom. You increase the density on that corner as opposed to keeping it single-family detached, like it had been. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So there's currently 2 single-family homes and an open, undeveloped lot. I think of the 17 adjacent or across the street properties, 10 of them which are currently rental. We are a mix of residential uses. We feel like townhomes here would do very well. Townhomes would have access to the amenities. Honestly, Mayor and Council, I'd love to make them for sale. And I'd love to figure out a way to do it. There's the existing, we have, working within the framework of the code, we feel with a single plat, they can only be rental. If we can figure out a way that isn't, I don't know if it's a text amendment or a zoning variance, that we can come back later and subdivide, I'd love to make those for sale. We just kind of collectively have to get creative as a group in order to make it happen.
And would you also consider creating them as a single-family detached product?
I would absolutely consider it. We would just have to, I would like to get back to you on it, honestly, Cynthia.
Ms. Jenkins, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this, I think this will probably be a direct question for you. Do we have numbers on how this will affect, or what kind of increase this will have on the total apartment supply downtown, particularly, or even in, in Newnan, it's going to be a very small percentage, but particularly for the downtown area, I know we have a large, I think we've got one large apartment block with the lofts, 150 units, I think it is. So this, it sounds like this might double or more the number of apartments in the downtown areas. Is that about right?
That's accurate.
Yeah.
From our research, there's about 1,000 units approved in Newnan currently. We feel that's divided up over 3 projects. We feel that only one of them is actually moving forward, which was the recent zoning of Wood Partners and Ashley Park. The existing zonings of the 500 units across the street from the hospital are currently, that deal is being retooled and is in a DRI. And then the 3rd apartment project is in the middle of Ashley Park at the remaining parcel, and it's a very dense, kind of site-specific, and my personal opinion, it doesn't fit the market. So we like Newnan because of the high barriers to entry. We think there's only 275 units that are actually going to be built in Newnan, so bringing an additional 260. And yes, Mayor, that is downtown, and it would effectively double what is currently existing downtown. but we also think we're meeting a need. We think people want to live downtown. People want to walk downtown. People want to have a city home. From the renters we're targeting, people want to get out of their home because they're tired of the lawn care, recycled housing inventory, so a family can get moved in. Now, it's not for everybody, but we think we can find 260 individuals or families that will want to live in downtown living and walk to what has made Newnan so special.
By the same token, how does this compare both in what you forecast for rents and types of products here compared to the Newnan Lofts and the other apartments that we have downtown?
Sure.
The existing downtown stock, just in general.
From Newnan Lofts, we are a slight premium, 5%. One bedroom starting at $1,225, two bedrooms starting at $1,650. We are a Class A product. I'm not going to say we're not. We are a high-end condo quality product, and we are new construction, and we are trying to. We have retail, traffic improvements, stream water. We got a pipe of sewer. We've got a lot going on, and we've got beautiful brick exteriors, and it is going to demand top of market rents.
Thank you.
You said you're quoting now $1,225 for your one bedrooms and $1,650 for your two bedrooms?
Yes, sir. That
That's
is what our current
different than was, okay, that's different than what was in our,
pro forma is as of today, adjusting to market.
any change in your three bedrooms?
No, sir.
Okay, because that was at $1,950. And then reducing those 7 units, what's going to be the new mix of 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms?
We lost effectively, of the 8 units that we lost, it was 6 2-bedrooms and 2 1-bedrooms.
And I just want to make sure I'm clear on this. The new number of units was 252. The old one was 259. You keep saying 8 apartments. My math is saying 7. Are we?
We were at 267, what we submitted in January. 259 total. 200. I think it's the 8 townhomes, Councilman, that's throwing us off. You've got to add the.
So you're still keeping 8 townhomes, but you're changing the apartment mix.
Correct.
251. Okay. Thank you.
What's the directional requirements out onto Second Avenue? Is it right in, right out, or people leaving can go either left or right?
Well, that is, currently it's a full access, but that's one thing we talked about at the neighborhood meeting was making it a left in, right out, so that we're trying to keep traffic kind of going towards downtown and out of the neighborhood.
I hope you continue your discussions with the local, the local folks down there. I know this is just kind of a small gathering. I've received not an insubstantial or non-substantial number of emails regarding this.
No, you're
even up
absolutely right.
until yesterday. So,
Yeah, and we had, I think, we counted close to north of 60 people last Wednesday at the neighborhood meeting, and we've been meeting with a lot of people in the neighborhood, and we've got work to do. But we've said this all along, like we're committed to trying to come up with a workable solution, and I hope that has been evidenced by the changes that we've made, and we're hearing good things out of council, and would love the opportunity to go back and keep making the sausage.
yeah, and that's great. I appreciate your willingness to continue to put the hard work in. I just want to make sure, that you're having the buy-in, not only from the local residents, but from everybody, and that, you're not premature in trying to present this. without, because you got a lot of work ahead. And, I know there's a lot of work ahead, but, what you're considering a lot of work is different maybe than my imagination of what a lot of work is. So just make sure you get that input, you make this, make it work.
Absolutely.
I mean, one of the concerns I saw, repeatedly was the traffic, especially during school hours. A lot of kids are already cutting through First Avenue, and just the traffic downtown that this will add, not only during the regular business hours, but then you throw in all the schools and the school bus and, that stuff as well, and it's the kids that are driving themselves, potentially.
Do you have further questions from council? All right. Thank you so much.
I would just say this is our vision right here. This is what we want to see. We want to see kids outside, families outside, retail, green space. This is the project. This is the vision right here.
Thank you. All right. Any further concerns from staff or?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. With that, can we get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, we are adjourned.